Which cheap and mass-produced item is stupendously well engineered? Toilets. I've been a plumber 20 years and very little has changed, or needed to. Minimal upkeep, cheap and easy repair, very long life. The intermodal shipping container, A/K/A the Conex box. There are millions of the damned things all over the world, in use every single day. They are stackable, can be locked together, attach readily to ships, truck-trailer frames, and rail cars, and can bear enormous loads. The cost of their manufacture compared to their economic use value over their useful lives is next to nothing. Zip ties, such a simple piece of plastic but so versatile. I have one of the old-fashioned chain link fences, some of the fasteners on the middle poles broke and in high winds the fence was swaying like crazy. A half dozen zip ties on the 3 posts and it doesn't budge and nobody even knows they're there. Matches. The lighter. Spontaneously ignite fire basically whenever you want. Ball bearings. Soda/beer cans. The design has existed for decades with few changes. It's a way of using a relatively small amount of cheap metal to withstand the pressure of carbonated beverages with a reliable opening mechanism. During pandemic I also noticed that some companies stopped using thicker material on the upper ridge of the can, probably due to supply shortages. They instead used a sort of stepped system that appeared to be almost as strong. Not exactly cheap, but I'm impressed that I can have a ceiling fan run on high for 15 years straight and not have it explode on me. The transistor. Toilets. They use nothing more than gravity to reliably flush. Doesn't use power at all. Road reflectors, countless lives saved. Quartz movement clocks, you can literally pick one up for $2.50 here, the technology and gearing that goes into its functions is well worth the costs. Metal pencil sharpeners, the manual kind, not electric. Don't buy the plastic ones in the school supply section. Go to the art section. Those metal sharpeners are choice. The humble corrugated cardboard box. It's lightweight, strong, splash resistant, somewhat padded, doesn't break down in heat/cold, scratch resistant, recyclable, biodegradable, and able to be assembled cheaply into any size. The basic design has existed for over 150 years. The retail shipping industry runs on cardboard boxes. Glass bottles. End number X200B. Let's melt this rock into a clear, brittle material and turn it into what? Windows? Decorations? Screens? No, we're making pressure vessels, baby. What is the greatest unsolved mystery of all time? Disappearance of Asha Degree. In 2000, 9-year-old girl that packed a bag in the middle of a storm and was last seen walking down a highway. A driver approached her to help and she ran into the woods and was never seen again. Nothing suggests why she would run away. Her book bag was found a year later. Most likely she was abducted while walking, but why did she leave her house in the middle of a raging storm? The disappearance of the Springfield 3 is a top contender for me. Long story short, in the early morning hours of June 7, 1992, these 3 women, Cheryl Levitt, 47, her daughter Suzanne Susie Streeter, 19, and Susie's friend Stacy McCall, 18, all vanished from Cheryl and Susie's home following a night of fun and partying as it was the girls' high school graduation. All their personal belongings, their cars, purses, and even the little dog was left behind. There were no signs of a struggle or foul play, however, the front porch light's glass globe was broken and not swept up, and there was a weird message of the answering machine that accidentally got deleted. Yet, no trace of the 3 women has ever been found and the case remains unsolved 30 years later. My favorite is the Chicago TV hijacking. During a Doctor Who rerun in 1987, somebody dressed as Max Headroom hijacked the TV signal for a minute and a half, during which he exposed his ass and got spanked by a woman and mocked Coca-Cola. FCC has been investigating for years and nobody has been charged. One I'm always fascinated with is I believe in the mid-2000s a student at Ohio State mysteriously disappeared and to this day they have no idea what happened to him. Basically he went out to a popular bar with friends. The security camera sees him walking into the bar and this is the only entrance/exit as the bar is in a larger building, but it never sees him leave the bar at the end of the night. His name was Brian Schaefer. It's an interesting story/mystery to take a look at. What the hell happened to the 3 escapees of the inescapable Alcatraz? If they did survive or not, but if they did, that's one hell of a plan to escape undetected till to this day. The Yuba County 5. One of the detectives interviewed at some point said not a damn thing about this case makes any sense at all. 5 guys with minor disabilities go to a basketball game. They have their own very anticipated game to play in the next morning. One of the guys even laid out his uniform for the next day. They leave the game they were spectators for. On the drive home, they stopped to buy snacks. The wrappers were found in the car and the cashier remembered them. Then instead of going home, they drive miles and miles out of their way to a national state park, leave their perfectly functioning and fueled car to wander unprepared into the snowy wilderness. A witness claims to have seen a second vehicle and perhaps a woman. A convenience store nearby claimed to have seen them the next day. But 3 of them are found dead in the woods, believed to have died from exposure. A 4th one is found in a trailer in the woods that had sufficient food and heat sources to survive for quite a while, having apparently starved to death and losing 200 pounds before succumbing to that and hypothermia. He had approximately 13 weeks of beard growth. The last man has never been found. So, firstly, why? And then why starve to death in the woods for weeks? If it was foul play, for what purpose? Their car wasn't stolen. There was no money to be gained. Even if it was some weird cult thing, none of them were apparently harmed, they all just died in the woods from staying in the woods. Edit. A lot of people are pointing out that the man who starved to death lacked common sense and his disability might have led to him not wanting to eat stolen food. He was not alone in the trailer the entire time. After he died, someone wrapped his body and head in a way he could not have wrapped himself. His disability alone does not explain his starvation. At least 2 of them made it to the trailer, and some of the food was opened and eaten, but not enough to keep him from starving. Some of the food was stored in an outbuilding. It's just more likely that they didn't look hard enough to find it. More than the starvation, the problem is that they stayed somewhere in the woods for weeks instead of just walking down the road on any particular day the weather was better. The car belonged to Jack Madruga. He really did not like anyone else driving his vehicle, and he was not the one with schizophrenia. So while Gary Mathias absolutely could have initiated the whole event with an episode, he had been taking his meds and he was very unlikely to be at the wheel and just take the other 4 along for the ride. However, I understand it is possible that in the midst of an episode Gary pressured Jack into letting him drive. Their families knew their disabilities a whole hell of a lot better than you do, and their parents let them go to a basketball game together and were baffled at how this happened. I'm sure their disabilities played into how it happened. There's just layers of confusing details and contradictions. Where is Shelley Miscavige? I read somewhere that the Vatican Library has some books which are kept hidden to this day as they were deemed heretical. Would love to know if it's true, and if so, what do they say? The world runs on porn logic. For a day, what's the first thing you do? As a teacher, I will be taking the day off school, thank you very much. Get in a taxi with no money. Deliver some pizza to lonely stay-at-home wives. Sit at a counter eating a salad. I work as a delivery driver. With 100 plus stops every day. It'd be a very long day. Get a sweet pair of stilettos that I can magically walk around in really well. I bumped my elbow against the door. Time to visit the hospital for this ultra-serious injury. I can tell you that I'm certainly not going to visit my family. I'm actually going to get an A from my professor. Notice how many 30-year-old moms have 24-year-old teen daughters. I'm boarding up my home like I'm locking it down on purge night. There's no specification on genre of porn rules, so I'm not taking any chances. Set up surveillance cameras around my lemon tree. I teach 7th to 9th grade, so I'm staying the fuck home. Go to my friend's house and check up on his mom. I don't know what kind of porn I'm in, so I'm hiding in my room.